well, I think we can if we can zoom in even more, and this is what we've been talking about like the entire time, but like the relationship between the student and the mentor, or at least between the students, because if you feel like you're needed, if you feel like you're loved, then you're gonna come back. I feel one of the major issues with UVU is it is kind of a commuter school, and so people come and then they leave, and like they just don't want to stick around because they live so far away. And I feel that's one of the reasons why student games, like the attendance at like games are so activities, yeah, like they're uber low even though they're free, just because we're coming here for an education, we're just going back home.
So that's an important aspect. Student-to-student connection, the social life in the classroom. Are there any other elements that you can think of when you think about connectivity to campus? Rob?
I feel like just a UVU pride. Like you're proud to be at UVU. You think it's the place that you want to be. It's not the place that you got stuck with because you couldn't make it into BYU or you couldn't make it into these other schools. It's a place you want to be.
Okay, so what would make that connection then? To feel a sense of pride about UVU?
Using the resources that it provides.
Okay, so actually using the resources. So we talk about resources in the class. So Tom just talked about the Student Life and Wellness Center. So we get connected that way. What else could we do to feel a sense of pride for UVU? Tyson?
Get involved in the programs. I think that's the biggest thing that I'm looking at to get that connection link set up is I want to get into the mentoring program because that's an already established program. For the mentoring program, it's beautiful, it's great, but you have to work to get into it, but there's so many other social clubs. You're just like, hey, I could go join the backpacking club or something like that, and there you go, I've set up a social life from the university.
And the list goes on and on. Yeah, good. Great. Any other way to feel a sense of pride? Yes.
I think it's kind of like blooming where you're planted sort of thing. Actually, a different term I would use is lifting where you stand. And like, it's just, it comes from a talk that I heard, but basically like, UVU is an awesome school and it's growing. And it's our responsibility, at least I think it should be our responsibility to help it grow. And if we can change the mentality from people being like, oh, I'm here just because I'm here, but instead like, yeah, this is an awesome place, let's help it grow.
Great. It's a mentality, it's a mindset, it's a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Grow where you're planted, lift where you stand, same principles. Good. Okay. Is there any other aspect of connectivity? Yeah, you could be employed.
It helps. Love UVU so much more.
Whenever they give you a paycheck, doesn't hurt. Okay. Bryce, go ahead.
I was just going back to using resources. I think it's awesome what we're doing is we're teaching us about the resources because a lot of these things I didn't know about before. So in order to use them, you have to know about them. That's what my point was. Yeah.
Now I want to ask Mohammed and Tom, I mean, coming from another country, how have you felt connected to UVU? Or a second question, what would help you feel more connected to UVU? Because again, your perspective is unique, coming from outside of the country even. What do you guys think?
Like when you live in a place, like for a time, after that you can love it, and because of people, because of like professor, because something. If you have like your own place like that you're comfortable with, like the library, you are interested with, so we got every day. So kind of help.
So you talk about a comfortable place.
Mm-hmm.
Happy Gilmore might go to his happy place. But you said comfortable. So for you, you said the library or playing soccer.
Mm-hmm.
That seems like probably a comfortable place for you on the weekends.
About making lots of donuts.
Okay, good. Mohammed, you were about to say something. Please go ahead and share.
Also, I want to talk about when you share, you don't feel like comfortable with the classmates, then you can ask them. But at the beginning or every stage, you can you have to know about what's study life and what we are going to do like that.
So that's important, we feel connected with your
Yeah.
classmates. Okay, excellent. Now, Rob, you had
One
something
thing, one thing Satam actually mentioned was the relationship with professors that we haven't said. That's one thing that I feel very proud for UVU in that aspect is I haven't had a professor yet that wasn't willing to work with me if I went to them. If I just asked them questions in class, that may be a different story. They may not understand what I'm asking or different things like that, especially in the math department. I know it happens. We have a lot of not English as your first language teachers. But when you go to them, they are willing to sit with you for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours to pump it out and make sure that you understand. You won't get that at any other university.
we are fortunate that the professors really do care. I mean, I've worked with so many who just really do care about students. That is a great impact. We don't have to focus on research. Based on this definition of connectivity, I want to make sure, we want to make sure, so, and whoever wrote this may not even be here, but the idea says we don't talk a lot about connectivity on campus. So based on what we talked about here, do we talk about it enough? Let's discuss that as a group. And if not, or discuss or experience what we have here, what more could we do in the remaining time of from now until the end of the class? Haley?
We're going to talk about the different types of clubs that UVU has, because I know there's so many, and how to get involved in those, maybe.
Okay. Now, if we were to talk about the clubs, would that motivate you potentially to join a club? Or I mean, how would you suggest we do that? That would be engaging and interesting, and not because I could also see that being like a snoozer for some. What would be an engaging way to expose you guys to that?
Well, I think it depends on when the classes, because if it's during the club fair or whatever that goes on, then we can go to that, or like,
I don't think they have. They don't have any.
They don't have one during the
Not
summer.
in the
Yeah.
summer. Not enough students.
that's why I said it depends on the classes,
But for our class.
For what we have right now.
Yeah, what we have right now. What more could we do for between now and what is it?
3 weeks.
Late June? Yeah, 3 weeks. What more could we do to improve the connectivity that we're experiencing or that we're talking about? Because we want to, this is your class, we want to make sure that we're, and if there isn't, that's fine. But we want to ask the question. Think about it. Rob?
I'm wondering, do you guys feel like, because we're doing these resources, do you feel like it would be beneficial maybe to have everybody pick a club and do a very similar thing as presenting a resource, to maybe presenting a UVU club that has caught their interest or something that they've heard about or something?
Actually, I think that would
That's-
be a cool thing to do.
Yeah.
I mean, because
Just
like
an
we
idea.
don't know, I didn't know the resources, but like we could find out what our favorite clubs are. I think that'd be
So
awesome.
outside of the resource that you're sharing, just say, just like spend a minute, hey, I found out about this club, there's club. looks
Yeah,
like a
even
cool
though
thing."
it's not going during the summer, it kind of prepares us for, hey, I might be interested in that club once fall comes around.
Well, what I would propose then maybe is that go take a look go to the club's page, take a look and just peruse it real quick. If there's a club that looks interesting, report back to the class and just say, hey, I saw this club. We're not going to make it mandatory. We're not going to give you points for it, but go take a look and say, or I saw A, B, and C clubs that I liked. You know, this club and this club. This might be of interest to you, and that way you can just, and we'll just take time at the beginning of class to show. Well,
You could also feel free, because all of them should have their own link, maybe to a Facebook page or something else. Feel free to link it inside of our Facebook page. I know Kelsey, she's not here right now, but I don't know if anybody saw, she posted her favorite kind of roller coaster ride on our Facebook page, like the kind of ride that she feels is fun. That's what that page is for. If there's something in class that you're thinking of that you want to talk about but we don't have time for, throw it there. And it'd be a great place for our clubs to just throw a whole ton of clubs up.
great suggestion. Okay, any more you want to talk about with connectivity, of how we can improve that? Okay, let's talk about the next one. So, what can the mentor do differently? Maybe just some more techniques, not a big deal, like study techniques. And this was given out before we started getting in earnest getting into the 10-minute facilitations. But do you think the 10-minute facilitations and the subsequent discussion that ensues, do you think that will be sufficient, or do we want to do more with the study skills and techniques? Go ahead, Bryce.
I think the feedback after the 10-minute thing is always helpful. And also, like, just that little thing that you were saying about kind of like backing away, like when you're talking to somebody, just kind of back away. Like, yeah, just I think those things are cool.
So do you think that's sufficient then? That is, okay, the discussion. Okay. What can the mentor do differently? More activities that bring us together as a class, so we can talk about that today. We have our meeting after class today, so. And if you guys have ideas, I know my morning class we played soccer this morning.
I'm all for it.
It was fun. This one was, what other recommendations do you have? Video reflections, but probably because there is a lack of good discussions. Not sure what that meant, because people can do video reflections. So, if you
Doing the weekly feedback.
this was, what other recommendations do you have? Video reflections, but probably because there is a lack of good discussions. So I'm not.
Okay.
If you wrote that.